He's a very impressive young man. He's poised, he's calm, he's smart. You can tell that he's been raised by, really quite honestly, a Hall of Fame dad.
The moment that went viral on every platform didn't happen on the field, in a press conference, or during a planned celebration. It happened in a raw, unscripted conversation that brought to light everything that was going on behind the scenes in the Cleveland Browns organization. After the historic debut win, Andrew Berry, the GM who took a lot of heat for drafting Shadur Sanders in the 5th round, went right to his quarterback. And the look on his face said it all. This wasn't just a good job. It was a look of relief, validation, and the unmistakable look of a man who finally had proof he wasn't crazy for believing in this kid. And Shedur's answer was calm, focused, and humble. Not a rookie with 1 week of practice, but a franchise quarterback would give you this kind of answer. That 10-second moment did more than just go viral. It opened up the real story of what's been going on inside the Browns organization and what's going to happen next. The video that went viral on social media wasn't a highlight reel or a speech in the locker room. Andrew Berry and Shadur Sanders had a quiet, unplanned conversation, and it told fans more about how the Browns work behind the scenes than any press conference ever has. Berry walked right up to Shedeur with a smile that looked like half relief and half disbelief just minutes after he broke a 30-year curse and became the first Browns rookie quarterback to win his first game. Fans are used to seeing a GM who is calm and collected. This was a man who had been waiting months to say, "I told you so." But he didn't say it. Berry's voice broke with real joy when he asked, "How does it feel, bro?" It wasn't corporate. It wasn't formal. It sounded like two people who had been through something together.
I don't know where that report came from. That's not a request that we made. That being said, I want to be clear, that would have no bearing in terms, whether he participated or not, that has no bearing in terms of how we think of it, but I don't know where that came from.
Shedur's calm, humble, and improvement-focused response sealed the moment. No bragging, no showing off, just quiet confidence. That realness is what made the video go viral. Fans are used to seeing polished statements and filtered interactions, but this felt real. It seemed like the GM and the quarterback were finally on the same page, and maybe they had been all along. But it wasn't just the emotion that made this moment so hard. It was what it showed. Berry believed in Shadur, even though many people in the organization didn't want him to. And now, after one historic win, the world finally saw what Berry had seen all along. But this game gave us more than one surprise. Before that viral moment, Andrew Berry had been carrying the weight of a decision that almost everyone around him doubted for months. It wasn't just surprising that Shadur Sanders was picked in the 5th round. As soon as it happened, it was seen as a mistake. On live TV, analysts made fun of the pick. Some reports said that some people inside the building would have liked a more traditional quarterback prospect. Some fans even questioned why Berry would take a chance on a player they thought was more hype than substance. And Berry heard it all. He knew that picking Shadur wouldn't get him any praise right away. He knew he wasn't going to get a college resume full of highlights or a typical pocket passer. What he saw instead was something that was harder to measure. Confidence, planning, and a way of thinking that can handle more than what you expect on draft night. But just believing doesn't make the noise go away. Berry spent the offseason defending a move he couldn't yet prove was right. That's why his reaction after the first show was so important. This wasn't just a GM's relief that his player did well. This was proof for a man who stood by his evaluation despite public criticism, internal doubt, and office politics. In that one game, Shadur gave Berry the proof he had been looking for. Everyone thought the pick was a bad idea, but all of a sudden it seemed like the smartest thing Cleveland had done in years. But what happened next, on the field and behind the scenes, made the story even louder. What Shadur Sanders did on that field was more than just impressive. It changed a part of Cleveland Browns history that had been bothering the team for almost 30 years. Before this game, every rookie quarterback for the Browns who played in his first game lost. 17 times in a row, Cleveland was reminded that they could never find stability at the position that makes or breaks NFL teams. The streak became a running joke in the league, a sign of the team's bad luck. Then, Shedeur came in. He won, which no Browns rookie had done since the mid-1990s, even though he had only a week to prepare, no preseason rhythm with the starters, and the pressure of a 30-year drought staring him in the face. And it wasn't a lucky win or a few broken plays that got them there. He played with authority. He threw the ball in ways that changed the game. He looked like he belonged on a stage that has eaten up new actors for years. The numbers don't tell the whole story. The way he held himself in the pocket, how sure he was of his reads, and how he made everyone around him better are what made the performance historic. He wasn't just ending a streak. It was the end of a way of thinking. That night, the Browns didn't seem cursed. They seemed able. Fans weren't asking when they would find a quarterback for the first time in years. They were asking for something much more exciting. Did we just find him? That's when the trouble started. After Shadur Sanders broke a 30-year curse, threw for more than 200 yards, and acted like a seasoned franchise quarterback, you'd think one thing would happen right away. The ball from the game landed in his hands. But when the ceremony after the game was over and the ball went to Myles Garrett instead, the fans went crazy. Not because Garrett didn't deserve praise. He was great, getting 3 sacks and leading a defense that shut down the Raiders. The problem wasn't that Garrett was so good, it was the meaning behind it. Shedeur had a great night. Cleveland had been waiting for this moment for decades. And somehow, the quarterback who made history wasn't the one fans were honoring. It felt like a missed chance, or worse, a message. The game ball is more than just a keepsake. The group is saying that you were the heart of this win. And 4, it didn't feel right that the rookie who ended a losing streak that was longer than the careers of many of the players on the roster didn't get it. Analysts quickly wondered if this was just a mistake, or if it showed that the coaching staff was still unsure about making Shedeur the new face of the franchise. There was no delay on social media. A lot of people wrote posts saying that Cleveland was rude to their own breakout star. Some people argued that the choice showed that there was politics going on in the locker room. And just when the talk was starting to die down, Shedeur said something that made things even worse. Myles Garrett's comments after the game were classy, calm, and exactly what you'd expect from a veteran who knows his place in the locker room. He praised the defense for always putting pressure on them. He thanked his teammates for helping him sack the Raiders 10 times. And he said that having Andrew watch over me today, as he paid tribute to a fallen teammate, was very emotional for him. But this is where things changed. Garrett talked about the defense with pride, but his tone made it clear that this is how he usually acts. He expects to be in charge, not be surprised. And that's why fans thought the decision about the game ball missed the point. For Garrett, getting 3 sacks in one night is just another thing that will help him get into the Hall of Fame. For Shedeur, this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, a historic breakthrough that changed the course of an entire franchise. Garrett's comments, even though they weren't meant to, made the difference clear. He thought he could do great things, but Shedeur gave Cleveland something it hadn't seen in 30 years. Fans quickly put the pieces together online after the result. If the veteran superstar can see how important this moment is, why can't the coaching staff? Why honor a routine form of dominance over a historic milestone? And that question got louder when Shadur finally talked about the night and said something that shocked everyone. When Shadur Sanders talked to reporters, he didn't brag about breaking a 30-year curse or show off his 200 yards. Instead, he said one quiet thing that shocked Browns fans all over the world. This win is crazy after only 1 week of practice. Those 8 words hurt the Browns story more than any viral video could have. They revealed a truth that fans had suspected for months. Shedeur didn't really get a chance to compete. Not during training camp, not during the preseason, and not even in the weeks before this game. Reports had already said that he hardly ever got to play with the first team. There were also rumors that the staff was going to stick with the previous starter no matter how well he played. And Shedeur, in the most professional way possible, confirmed it without pointing fingers or calling anyone out. He basically said, Think about what I could do if you really trained me. That hit hard because if he can win a historic game, make throws that change the course of the franchise, and look completely in control after just 1 week of work, what does that say about the decisions made before this point? How many games did he lose because the coaches weren't ready to give him the keys sooner? How much talent was left on the bench? Fans got the deeper meaning right away. This wasn't a first-time player celebrating. This was a quarterback showing the organization's hesitation without ever yelling. And now the stress on the coaches was about to reach a breaking point. As soon as Shedeur said he would only practice with the starters for a week, all eyes turned to one man, Kevin Stefanski. And fans didn't just react mildly. They went crazy. The next day, people on Browns Twitter, Reddit, and sports shows went from celebrating a historic win to questioning the head coach's judgment. If Shedeur could look so calm, confident, and capable with almost no preparation, why didn't he get a chance to do it sooner? Why didn't he get to play with the first team in camp? Why didn't they build the offense around him sooner? Fans started putting the pieces together, and the picture wasn't good for Stefanski. People had already said that he liked the starter from before. Reports said that the coaches wanted stability more than potential. But now, after just 1 game by a rookie, that whole way of thinking seemed old. Analysts openly wondered if Stefanski was too stubborn, too careful, or too set on his original QB plan to see the spark that was right behind it. Fans even started to use the game ball decision as proof of something deeper, a reluctance to fully embrace Shedeur. It added fuel to the fire, whether it was meant to or not. On the other hand, Andrew Berry's stock price went through the roof. The GM seemed like a visionary, and Stefanski suddenly seemed like he was getting in the way of the team's progress. And with all the fans behind Shedeur, one thing was clear. If Stefanski goes back to the old quarterback plan now, Cleveland will see a backlash like it hasn't seen in years. And inside the building, the change in power was getting louder and louder. Kevin Stefanski got a lot of bad press, but Andrew Berry got the exact opposite. The power structure in the Browns organization changed quickly and dramatically in just one night. Berry went from being the GM who was questioned, doubted, and second-guessed to the man who might have saved the team from its own bad habits. Berry stood by a decision that almost no one understood for months. It wasn't just unusual to draft Shadur Sanders in the 5th round, it was also made fun of. Some analysts said the choice was emotional because of the Sanders name. Some people said that Shedeur didn't fit into Cleveland's system. Some people said the Browns were wasting a spot on the roster. Berry stayed quiet, but sure of himself the whole time, trusting what he saw in Shedeur's calmness, preparation, and competitive edge. Look at him now. The rookie he fought for just broke a 30-year curse, got the fans excited, and showed that he belonged on an NFL field. People stopped asking Berry if he was the GM all of a sudden. He was the first executive to see the value. The video of him congratulating Shedeur that went viral wasn't just sad, it stood for a change in how powerful organizations were. It's clear what the message is when your quarterback plays well and your GM believed in him from the start. Stefanski may run the plays, but Berry is now in charge of the story. And with the city behind Shedeur, Berry's voice is stronger than ever, making it possible for even bigger decisions to be made in the future. The Browns' locker room was not quiet, subtle, or split about Shadur Sanders' first game. It was quick and very helpful. Players don't fall for hype, stories, or politics in the front office. They know exactly who will give them the best chance to win. And after seeing Shedeur perform well under pressure, a lot of veterans made their feelings clear. Reports say that after the game, several players came up to him, not to congratulate him like a rookie, but to show him real respect, like a leader. Some of his teammates told him directly, "You're the guy." Others just nodded, smiled, or slapped his shoulder pads in a way that said more than words could. That's not normal for a rookie quarterback to get that kind of reception. It means that something real happened in the locker room. The change in energy hit me the hardest. Offensive players looked energized, almost relieved, as if they finally had someone who could confidently take charge of the field. Defensive players, especially after getting 10 sacks, seemed excited because they knew their hard work would help the quarterback. There is, however, another side to this. Players can also tell who the coach is back and who they are hesitant to promote. And when Shedeur didn't get the game ball, some people reportedly raised their eyebrows. Not in anger, but in confusion, because everyone in that room knew who made history. And that makes things very tricky. If Stefanski tries to go back to the old quarterback plan, he'll have to deal with more than just the fans. He'll have to fight against what his own locker room thinks. A fight that NFL coaches don't win very often. And the emotional moment that came next only made that feeling stronger. After the win, when the cameras, interviews, and noise were all over, the most emotional part of the night didn't happen on the field. In the tunnel, it happened. Deion Primetime Sanders was standing there, waiting. Not as a famous person or a Hall of Famer, but as a father. When Shedeur walked up to him, having just made history in Cleveland, everything else seemed to fade away. They looked at each other, hugged, and shared a moment that quickly became one of the most powerful images of the night. It wasn't very loud. There wasn't anything dramatic about it. It was a quiet, raw pride. The kind that hurts more than any speech or party ever could. Security had to make room around them because everyone in the area knew this wasn't the time to interrupt. Players, staff, and even reporters stepped back out of respect. Prime didn't have to say much. His face said it all. You were able to handle the stress. You showed what you could do. You fit in here. And Shedeur's face looked the same. Not too much, not too little, just steady, like someone who knew they would be here all along. This moment meant a lot more than just family feelings. It made a belief that was already growing among fans even stronger. Shedeur isn't putting his father's name down. He's making his own mark on history. And seeing the father and son share that quiet celebration made me feel even more like something big is starting in Cleveland. But the most revealing thing said that night came right after that, and it revealed the truth that the whole organization now has to deal with. For almost 30 years, being the Browns quarterback has felt less like a job and more like a curse. Fans hoped that this time would be different every time a new rookie stepped onto the field, but they saw the same sad story play out over and over again. There were 17 rookie quarterbacks who played for the first time. 17 people lost. The streak was a sign of Cleveland's anger, a reminder that no matter what changes the team made, the outcome never seemed to change. Up until now. Shadur Sanders wasn't just fighting the Raiders when he stepped onto the field. He was fighting history. Years of disappointment, memes that never stopped, and a story that said Cleveland just couldn't get the quarterback position right. And he broke it all in one night. The command, the throws under pressure, and the poise. He didn't act like someone who was trying to break a curse. He acted like he never believed in it in the first place. That's why this victory felt different. It wasn't a mistake or a lucky bounce. A rookie stepped into the biggest shadow in franchise history and refused to let it define him. Browns fans weren't holding on to hope for the first time in years. They were seeing real change happen. This wasn't just the end of a streak. It meant that the curse had finally met someone who wasn't afraid of it. And the fans made it very clear in the loudest way possible. When the last whistle blew, it wasn't just the stadium that went crazy. The whole internet did too. In just a few minutes, videos of Shedeur's throws, calmness, interview, and that emotional talk with Andrew Barry were all over the place. Fans took to Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to say what they think the franchise should have known from the start. Shadur Sanders is the starting quarterback. The reaction wasn't just excitement. It was a wave, a flow. Hashtags like Start Shedeur, Barry was right, and Cleveland found their QB spread quickly across timelines. Browns fans who had been arguing for years about who should be the quarterback were suddenly on the same page. They were loud, united, and never gave up. Even fans who didn't care about the NFL said his first game was the best moment for Cleveland quarterbacks in years. After that, there were the debates. Why didn't he get the ball? Why didn't he get first-team reps sooner? Why didn't Stefanski see what everyone else did? The story was picked up right away by sports talk shows. Former players praised the new player's confidence. Analysts were not sure about the choices made by the coaching staff. Commentators talked about how the locker room reacted and the moment with Barry that went viral. The talk everywhere you looked led to one conclusion. Shedeur isn't the only thing Cleveland wants. They want him. And for a team that has had heartbreak at quarterback for generations, that kind of strong belief is rare and powerful. But now, all the noise, stress, and expectations are on one decision that the organization can't put off any longer. The Cleveland Browns have reached an unavoidable crossroads because of everything that happened. The viral moment with Andrew Barry, the historic debut, the game ball controversy, the fan reaction, and the locker room shift. The franchise isn't looking for hope for the first time in decades. It's holding it. The team's future now depends on whether Cleveland is brave enough to accept what is right in front of them. Shadur Sanders didn't just win a game. He changed the mood of the whole company. He broke a streak that seemed like a curse. He brought together a group of fans who had been at odds for years. And he had the kind of calm and confidence that teams look for years. The question is now easy. Are the Browns going to sign him, or are they going to let doubt ruin another chance? If the coaches try to go back to the old depth chart, they won't just be ignoring momentum. They'll be pushing against the fans, the locker room, and the clear direction this team is going in. And in a league where timing and bravery are everything, being unsure can mean the difference between a comeback and another period of mediocrity. When Andrew Barry drafted Shedeur, he had already made up his mind. Shedeur made up his mind as soon as he stepped onto the field. Cleveland's turn is next. This first game showed that the Browns finally have a quarterback they can build around. The last question is whether the company has the guts to let the future start now.